welcome to Creative Corner. This is the last Creative Corner of 2021. Gosh. So I hope that you are all joining me and that you're all well and that you have had a great Christmas season if you celebrate Christmas. So today is very much like all our other Creative Corners. I'm going to run through how we got here and then I'm going to pick up from there. So if you have not joined us before, welcome. This is where I create an image in front of you and we have a conversation about the things that I'm building and why I'm choosing the things I am and build up the image with you. So feel free to drop us a comment in the lives if you're joining us live, and if you're not, don't worry, drop us a comment anyway and we will certainly answer them once the live is finished. So some of the things that I'm going to talk about today is the setup here and why I've chosen this particular setup. So the setup is mainly inspired by a place today. Back in 2014, I visited Fatima, which is in the north of Portugal, and it's on a pilgrimage. A lot of Christians visit it on the way up to Santiago de Compostela, and it is, I'm sorry, the live view just went off, so I'm just going to put that back on and bring that up for you to see. And basically in this village you can visit where the visions of these three shepherds occurred. And I think the biggest thing that I took away from this visit was when you visit their cottage, because you can actually walk into the village and visit their cottage, you enter the cottage and it is so stripped of our modern day world. They've kept it pretty much the same way it would have been. And so you walk in and the first thing that you're hit by is firstly the quietness of the village. Straight away there's no traffic noises, there aren't the people, there aren't the everyday noise. And then the second thing is that there is no things. Like the whole house, firstly, it's tiny, it's small, and there is very, very minimal things. There's a bed, there's a table, there's perhaps some kitchen things, but that's it. It's really, really bare minimal farm living, as it would have been. And this kind of makes you feel as if, you're living in it's very calm, it's very tranquil. It kind of emits that feeling for you. So this is the photo that I took on my visit there, and it's a little corner of their bedroom. And as you can see, there's a window ledge, and the photos are obviously put there for your visit, not necessarily would have been that way when they were there. But that was the scene. It was very sparse, and it gave me a feeling that perhaps that's something I'd like to recreate with you today. I think perhaps because we've just gone through not just a Christmas season, but also the fact that we've gone through quite a modern day year, and it's been quite heavy, that I felt the end of the year could do with something very, very minimal, very just clean and grounded. That's kind of where I'm going today. So that's why I chose to bring a window on set today, and to have an arrangement where there would be a table and a chair, but very little else. So what you're seeing here is an arrangement where the camera is over here, my softbox is in front of me, and it's a big softbox, so it's streaming light the way a natural window light would come in. A bench, a box with a tablecloth on, and my window, which is actually a little windowette arrangement that you can buy that has plants normally sat there, but obviously I've just taken the plants off for this and I've put it on set. Now in this arrangement, obviously there are a few things with framing and composition I'm going to talk to you about now. When you're framing directly into the frame, normally your camera would be very straight in order to get the verticals vertical and the horizontals horizontal. Now the thing here is that when you are shooting into a set, which is what I wanted, because I wanted to see things on the table and I wanted to be able to kind of look down as if I was coming to sit at the table to look down on it. The minute you tilt a camera down that way, your verticals will automatically become wonky, which is not optimal in the camera. But today I'm kind of going to live with it a little bit. I'm going to perhaps hide some of those verticals as best as I can, but I am going to live with it, and I'm going to kind of call it in my head a wonky house. This is like perhaps an old house that doesn't necessarily sit right. So in my head, I've already worked out the story behind that, and I've allowed that to happen in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be okay with the verticals not being the best version of verticals that they should be for a composition. So I'm just going to move my iPad out. Be sure to drop a hello. Oh, hi, Joy. Oh, happy Christmas to you and your family. So speaking of Joy, hello. Those are actually some of the things that we're going to be featuring today, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to kind of go step by step. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to layer our image. Now, I do talk about this layering that I do over on our YouTube channel, and I think Philippe can put the video up now. It's called layering. And this video runs through the basic principles of what I'm just going to show now. But if you'd like to see another example, hop over to that video later and check it out. Now, layering to me basically takes, this is the bottom layer, this is the set, so this is how I've built it up. And I've pulled out some fabrics, because the first thing that I think on the set is the second layer in. And this is a very minimalistic set at the moment. And as I was talking to you just then about the verticals. And so the first thing I'm going to want to try and do is perhaps cover these verticals, especially where like there's a gap here. It's a big gap and I don't really want to see it. I want to be able to see like the outside and then the inside, but not really. I want the illusion to be that we're in a house. So one of the things I'm going to try and do here is perhaps use some fabric I have here as a little, and perhaps this might need some faffing, so I will try not to faff too much in this video, but as a curtain. So let me just try and arrange a little bit better. And even, let's see if this will work. If I've got a little tie to tie the curtain up, so that will kind of hide that line. Do you see? It's not great. It's still there, but it's hiding it quite well at the moment. See? We'll faff as we go with that curtain, I suspect, to try and get it to be the best version. Oh, and I've got some red threads on it, so we'll just get rid of those. Okay. And then the next thing I might want to put in the image. Let me just bring out some of these. I've just pulled out a bunch of colors and a bunch of textures that I kind of like, but the one of them that I brought out was this. It's some netting, and I'm thinking that this will be good for a little bit of net curtain. So perhaps we could have like some netting running across the window, or perhaps not all the way across, but let me just see if I can just put that in. Okay, again, this concept of layering, I'm just bringing in the layers one by one, but the textures of the fabrics are always really important when you're building this sort of thing up, because it allows you to kind of keep within the feel of what it is you're trying to achieve. So an indoor scene in front of a window. So let me just take off this for a second so that you can see the bottom of this. So perhaps this might need to be, you know, scrunched around or pushed to one side, or, you know, a little bit of a, there we go. I will probably keep fiddling with that as we go to get the exact placement of it that I wanted. So obviously that kind of helps me hide some of the verticals that I was talking about. Now the next thing I'm going to bring out is the stars of today's show, which is Joy's 2022 collection. Now I want to show you these. These are utterly beautiful, and I have here like such a great selection. So let me just put them out, but I think Philippe's going to put on screen Joy's Instagram as well. So if you'd like to go over and follow her and give her a little bit of love, that would be much appreciated. But look at these. These are so these are the 2022 collection that she's very kindly lent to me today. So we are going to create, and as you can see, don't they just go perfectly? Sorry, I've been putting flowers in them. That's why they've got a little bit of dust in the bottom of them from flowers. You will have seen this vase already if you've been watching my Instagrams. But these jars and vases will obviously make this scene just perfect, because it's very beautiful, minimalistic, but it grounds it. The terracotta at the bottom grounds things in a kind of lovely way. So I'm going to be playing with that arrangement for me today. So some of the things, I've already started putting some eucalyptus in here, because I think eucalyptus and this colour go incredibly well. So I'm going to put that perhaps over here, and I'm going to just pull it round so that, there we go. I want us to be able to see the terracotta. So let me just come back over. Oh, hi Tawani, how are you? Great, it's lovely to see you both. Thank you for joining, it's lovely to see you there. So these are, what I'm basically doing is setting the scene up and arranging things in a way that I think would be, you know, would be a table scene. You know, perhaps there might be a milk jug in the corner here. You know, I think perhaps the milk might go on the next to the window, so that there's a bit of cold from the window perhaps. You know, there's the stories that you tell yourself as you're building up the scene. I talk about this a lot. Perhaps a sugar jar next to it, ready to go. I already like that. How great is that? It's the shape. I love how the kind of handle comes in. I'm not sure if the handle, yeah, perhaps it's like that. And I'm just playing around really with like the shapes and the sizes of them to see what I prefer, which ones I like. And I love, because each of these glazes is so different, I'm literally looking around the glaze to see like which pattern I like best to face the camera. So perhaps it's this one on this one. Okay. So there might be that. So again, it's just kind of shuffling things around and seeing what I like and what will work. I kind of also want some homely things as well coming in here. So let me just see firstly, setting up the bowls. If, you know, there's not going to be a bowl. If you're not going to sit at the table, there's going to be a bowl there already, you know, or kind of like just waiting for you, and perhaps a napkin waiting. Okay, we'll see about a napkin, whether or not it's going to be. I'm trying to use the same, you know, the same fabric that's here replicated in the image, and I don't want to do anything fancy with the napkin. I kind of want it to be like a just there. She says fiddling, and I will do this a bit until it comes to a point where I feel like it's, yeah, I kind of like that. So I might keep fiddling with that one just to see if I can get something that I really like, whether it's scrunched up or whether or not it's a little. We'll get there. I'll find something. I'll probably keep playing with that one until I find something that I really like. Perhaps it needs a live on it. Perhaps that's better. We'll see. I might just keep playing with that until I find something that I really like. Either it's this way or this way. Sometimes the cloths don't sit the way you think they will, but there'll be something there that we'll find as I keep fiddling with it. Perhaps that's it. Okay, we're getting there. The other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to break up this big white block here. It's quite prominent in the image, and I don't know if perhaps we want to put a little blanket there, like when we're, it's going to be cold. I quite like the warming colours from the top to the bottom, which is why I pulled the colour in the first place. But I'm also not sure if it doesn't need to be green. This is, by the way, an old sweater. I have no problems in using any fabric or texture that I find that I feel might fit the scene, and actually that might work a bit better. Oh, there we go. Okay, I might just, it's folded off the edge there, so I'm just going to make sure that I don't pull it off. So we've arranged that. Okay, so I kind of feel like we're getting better. The scene is kind of building up and building up. So the other thing that I kind of feel, the reason why I built this scene in the first place was so that I could have something over here, and perhaps something just outside the window will go really, really well. So I have a few things to try. Let's see which ones are our favorites. So we have some tree. So that's quite delicate. That might work. That makes it seem quite high up, I think. That makes it seem like the window is not on the ground floor. So I'm not sure that perhaps that's not going to work for me. I wonder if I'm going to feel the same way about the white. And again, I chose white because of the whole scene. So I wonder if perhaps that might work, perhaps. Something like that could work. So that's a possible. I also think that something in here, you know how I like to play with something in front of the camera. So I don't know yet whether or not that's an inside or an outside flower, because I kind of like how that feels inside. So that might be on a table. Perhaps I'll use that inside rather than outside. The other thing I have is, let me just see if I can bring this on set. I think I might have to bring that on set the other way. Let me just come in here and see if this will work. Is that in the frame there? Yep. Okay, so that's a little bit of berries in the frame. So let's see. Oh, that's quite nice. It's a little pop of colour in the minimal style. And actually that just, I don't know, that just doesn't feel like it's too much. It feels like it's just creeping in the image. And it doesn't make me feel as if this window is like 3 stories up. It makes me feel as if it's still on the ground floor. So I'm going to go with that for a while, and let's see what else we might want to put into the image. I'm already liking where this is. I had bought some other little props here to bring on. Let's see. I bought some little baskets because there was always a little bit of tones going on here, and I think this is quite a nice way of mixing some of the things together, and even perhaps swapping those over like this. That might work. It's kind of like a balance. I still don't want things to appear busy, but I kind of want a little bit of different combinations and textures in my image. So I've also got some of these, and I've used these before because of the color. Look at the color of the orange and the green together. I thought that would go particularly well, particularly as we've got already orange tones in the terracotta. So a little bit of reference to that somewhere might go very nicely. Let's just see if we can't top up. Again, it's just trying to, perhaps one that's fallen off there. It's just trying to reference things together in a way that makes sense. So I'm doing a bit of a color combination, and also a kind of just making sure that I'm picking props that kind of go with the color tones that are there, but also mixing up the textures so that it still feels quite layered and quite generous in the variety of textures. Because here you've got quite a smooth tablecloth versus the beautiful terracotta, the smooth glaze, and then you kind of want these to be mixed up as well, like a bit of smooth versus rough versus, you know, it's kind of that beautiful soup that you get where you want some of the texture still to be in there, not just all like mushed up. So that's kind of where I'm aiming for. Let me just shuffle around my eucalyptus. I'm also wondering whether or not the eucalyptus we could have perhaps even one coming round the side here. Yeah, that kind of works, I think. It's just a bit of a conversation between the back and the foreground, you know, like where your eye is being led to round an image. Up here, you've got your 3 images up here, your 3, and you've got your 3 here. It's like the diamonds that we talk about of 3, where you want the eye to travel round your triangle. So you've got your 3 items here, your 3 items here, your 3 items here, but this one also joins in the conversation as well. So you kind of want this dynamic between all of them, keep talking to each other. So I'm really enjoying this right now, and I'm wondering whether or not, firstly, if a candle would be, let me just see if I could put a candle in or not. Philippe's telling me there's comments here, so I'm going to come to your comments. A bit more into the frame. 20, which one are you talking about there? Are you talking about the branch? The berries coming more into the window? Okay, let me just see what that will look like. I'm pretty sure coming in, I might lose the shape because of where they are. So let me try that. Let me bring them in and see where we can. I don't have a lot of space back here, but let's see. That's actually as far as I can move it on my backdrop here. I'm like a little tiny bit. What do we think to that? Is that good? or back where it was? Let me know in the comments. Split the difference. Okay, let me split the difference. Back here. Okay. Okay. I know what you mean about bringing it back here, like if we had more in, but I think if we had more in, the red would really dominate this image. So I think this is probably the compromise. How does that look to you? Good? Okay. Okay. So I've put a little tea light in here. Now the problem with bringing candles on set is that on their own, they look a bit dull and boring. And this is daylight now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the image so that you see something. But what I always say is that if there is a candle on set, you want it to be lit. Like if there is a light source on set, you want it to be lit. So that's either a candle or a lantern or a light of any sort. If there is a light on your set, it needs to be on because it's being shown for a particular reason. Otherwise, don't have it in your set. It makes no sense having something like this that is not going to be on. Now, I don't necessarily want this candle to be on because I don't think we're going to see anything. And if I light it, it's perhaps not going to make sense in the setting that it is because we're in daylight. So what I might see is that if I light it and then blow the candle out and have a stream of smoke from it, whether or not that would be pretty. Now, the difficulty here is that this is a white set. So smoke generally needs a dark background to be seen on set. So I'm not sure that we're going to get away with it in this particular setting, but I'm going to give it a go and I'm going to see whether or not it works for me or my aesthetic. And I'm pretty sure the answer may be no, but we're going to try anyway because I'm that sort of person. So let me light it. And also candles are quite, you know, they can be quite peaceful. So let me see. I'm going to press the shutter, or can I get you to do this, Philippe? Can I get you to click the shutter? I'm going to blow it and then hopefully the smoke will come up this way. I've got the door open, so actually the smoke may blow a little bit. Are you ready? Okay. So we're just going to take one photo to check exposure, check that we're all right. It's really dark. Okay, so we may get away with it anyway. That's a lot darker than I thought this would be. So perhaps, yeah, I've perhaps adjusted the settings in setting up for the video stream. Okay, so we're going to try this and see where we are. And in this case, I might want to put something brighter on here, but I'm just going to check. Okay, I'm going to blow it and then you take it when I move out the frame. You ready? One more. He's taking a few because the door is open, so the smoke is blowing slightly at me. But as you can see, we can actually slightly see it. Oh, you see that curl? That's the second one. I like the curl. Okay, so this will work for me. One way or the other, we'll be able to see the smoke in that. So that's quite a nice feeling. It's a bit darker than I would like, but we'll deal with that later on. Or we can either bump the exposure or I can actually deal with it in post. I'm partial to a dark image, so I will probably need to put this in a computer because at the moment I'm seeing it with video lights on as well, so it's distorting how I'm seeing it. So in the image, if you can just bring me back the play that we had, the video, thank you. Thank you. So this is very dark right now. So, and I think our softbox is already at maximum. So it definitely would need to bring up the exposure. I can bring the softbox a little bit closer, but probably not right now because of video. But the other thing I'm seeing is that this is quite dark now. This green is quite a solid color. So there may be something else that I want to put here. There may be something that we can either break this up. So perhaps I can bring this back in here, this color here. So we can drop this in. Sorry, can you bring me my live view back? So I can see, just to add some different. Okay, so that's a layer thing going on, and I quite like that. That will work for me. I don't mind having like a dark to match. This is quite dark this side, so having a dark here isn't bad, but this was quite blocky. So I'm just gonna give it a little bit more depth to brighten that up. So what else? What do we think to the image? Do we like this? Is this going the way you thought it would be? Let me just see the comments. Yeah, it will work with the smoke. I definitely think so. Okay, great. So we're all right with this so far. Okay, so the other thing, if I was building this and I was keep going with this, the other thing that I might want to bring onto my set, and I have down here, is, and I don't know, I think perhaps it might be a bit too much in the window ledge now. I had these little, and I don't really know what they're called, but they're like plants that doesn't need putting in pots. Joy will know the name of these, I'm absolutely convinced. They've got a lot of frosting on them at the moment, but they're plants that just need a little bit of humidity and a little bit of water spray, and they grow everywhere. So I was wondering whether or not they might kind of live in the background here, like in the window. But perhaps I'm not terribly convinced now. I did think they would, but now I'm seeing them, then perhaps not. So we'll take these off. They might even, nope, no, okay, no, I don't like them now. I thought perhaps they would work, but seeing them on set, I'm not liking them much, which happens a lot, and I don't mind when it does. So the other thing that I have here is some good old walnuts. Basically, I'm trying to keep within the season, so I will always have things on the sets that are within the season that I'm working in, because I think that's quite important. We can put some hazelnuts in here, if we can see them. Might need to fill that up. Put some in there. I also like the idea of perhaps crushing a couple of these up and having like a bit of mess on the tablecloth here. Let me see. Air plants, that's it, Joy. I knew you'd know. They fascinated me when my florist showed me. I was like, what? They don't need roots. Knowing how terrible I am with keeping plants alive. I do try, but... So I'm just gonna crack a couple of these nuts so that we've got a little bit of mess on the tablecloth. I think that having too clean a tablecloth doesn't really live in reality. It's not a... it doesn't feel quite right. So I kind of like having, you know, a couple of nuts broken and spilling out onto this tablecloth there. So I'm kind of like still building things up just a little bit. I'm going to take that off the set. I'm not even sure that we couldn't do with a few more of these back here. So bear in mind, I'm just trying to bring the yellow, the orange into view. even perhaps no, too much. See if we can, might be able to see them poking out there. That might work. And even perhaps, let's just, if we have a tiny one on the front, just to, again, it's one of those things that having some kind of conversation between the front and the back sometimes is works for me. I'm not sure in this case whether it needs to be this side. Or even, perhaps not down there. That down there doesn't work so much. Okay, perhaps this side. This is just really, I am fiddling here to see. And I'm going to stop because I know that this side of things may not be so, yeah, don't make it too busy. I think you're right. I think that's exactly what's going to happen here, is if I keep trying to do too much here, it may lose the simplicity. And I do often go, like, I will go past the point of simple, see that it's busy, and then take out the things. And it's a good... it's a good way to think, is keep going until you recognize it's too busy. Like right now I can feel like things are getting a little bit busier than originally set out to. So that's good. I can now stop and reflect and say, okay, look, what on the table still tells the story, and what can I take out that will still tell that same story? You are missing more orange. Yeah. And I don't have oranges to put on actually, so that might be something. I've got, you got like the physalis and orange, two fruits together. Yeah, I don't have orange in the house, so that would have worked well. But here's the thing: is there are. I'm just going to keep going for a minute whilst I think about that, Joy, because I know you're right, and I think orange fruit would have gone well, but I think the oranges are quite big on this set as well. So let's just see what, as you said, what still tells the story, but is on the set for a reason. Like if I can have that conversation with the fruits, but bring the eye into, like, from here down to here and then back into here. Like there's a conversation that's being had here somewhere. So it's kind of like directing the eye of where to look and where to bring back in. I'm wondering, I think we're probably almost there. What I would say is that to me, the last thing would be is the candle smoke. And the thing I'm not liking very much is this, what I'm seeing here at the top, the cut between where the fabric is and where the cardboard meets. So I don't know if at that point I might try and, I don't know if I can disguise it. Yeah, I can disguise it. So I'm basically disguising this as if it's got a little curtain rail or something going across, so that it doesn't look quite so noticeable that that's happened, that the line is there. So let me just I will do this with tape. And I had tape here. Okay, so I'm just going to tape my set so that one side is taped down, and then the other side, how does that look? I will have to just play with that, I'm afraid. That's something I will have to just adjust later. So perhaps it's a bit like that. That kind of works for me. How's it looking in camera? So I think it just breaks that line up just a little bit. It kind of feels like that's a curtain rail rather than a piece of cardboard coming in. And even this part here, I will probably have to fix in as well, so that it doesn't feel as if it's being tucked in the corner into this, so that it would feel more like a curtain would. So probably more like that. Yeah, I will definitely need to fix that. That's fine. That's what will happen. So I will fiddle with that later on, and even perhaps, you know, this fiddling here a little bit more with the curtain details and bringing some of this in. Now, the thing is that with the window the way it is, I could leave it like that, or I could use this piece of plastic that I would recycle and have that as the pane of glass, so that could be, so that you would see kind of like a reflection, especially when I took that photo, you will be able to see some of the light reflecting on it. So it won't just be a clear window through. Again, I'll probably attach that and play with that. If I wanted to get fancy, which you know I will, I might even play with raindrops on that. Yeah, I'm laughing because you didn't just see Philippe's face. He was like, oh no, not the fancy. Don't bring the fancy out. So I will probably use that in the window, probably spray it a little bit with water just to get a few raindrops or a nice nostalgic effect going. And obviously that candle, that would be definitely something I would use. So this is the image that I'm going to leave you with right now. And I will carry on building that and finish the image up so that you see it in Instagram later. Let me just check in with you. This is, I wasn't thinking of a, yeah. The facility, yes, it does soften the edge, Joy, you're right. And you know about the rain. I love bringing those sorts of effects in. Okay, so that's where I'll leave you. You will see this image later when I've finished it and processed it, and I'll post it on Instagram. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you all of the images from this year that we've created on these lives for you, just to give you, you know, inspiration and hopefully something that you can take with you through to 2022. If you create just an image, one image a month, it quickly tots up, and 12 images is a good half a portfolio. So, you know, even if you only have a small amount of time, there are ways of getting that portfolio up. And I'm just smiling as these images are coming up, because I remember all of them and I created them all with you here in the Creative Corner. So if you haven't caught some of the finished photos, this is what they were. I hope, oh, the orange one. See, we had lots of oranges for that, Joy. So I thank you very much for joining us and supporting our work throughout this year. And I will see you back in the new year. And we will be doing these lives on the last Sunday of every month at 2 p.m. and you can join in and tune in then. So thank you very much. And I hope that you all have a very, very happy new year.